I'm biased. I love Kenosha, obviously, and I knew we were doing well just from being in the market and seeing it the last few years. And then that article came out from Realtor.com.
Look, the biggest podcast where you can learn them lessons, line for line where you can learn from different sections. Made it out the mud, come tell your story, blessings. Never know who listening, never know who stressing. Divine gave you a voice, come speak your honest truth. Line for line, go bar for bar. It's up to you. Wanna talk sports, gov, and politics? Wanna talk about where you from and your accomplishments? The Line for Line is really where you need to be. A platform that's really made for folks like you and me. You can find it all no matter what you seek. Whether you calling or you listening, tune in every week.
All right. Just like that, we're back on another episode of Line for Line podcast. I'm your host with the most, Devon Booker. Today, we have a very special guest in the building. So if you're looking for a home, you're looking for anything of that nature, we have Mr. Aaron Kohlmeier in the building. Aaron, how are you?
Great. Thanks for having me here.
Of course. How are you feeling on this beautiful Saturday?
Great. It's 3 degrees.
Yeah.
It's a little warmer than yesterday, which was -9. I was out showing homes yesterday, and it was freezing.
That's that Wisconsin weather. That Wisconsin weather.
Yep.
But the first thing we do on Line for Line, we do the most cliche thing ever. We have the guest. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, your story, things of that nature.
Yeah. Aaron Kohlmeier. I have a family. I'm married. My wife's Nicole. I have 3 kids. They're awesome kids. My daughter's Ella. She's just about to turn 18. She's actually running for Miss Kenosha. A little plug in.
Nice. Yeah.
So that's next month. Just beautiful girl. So sweet. And then I got 2 boys, 15 and 12. Mm-hmm. We're all actually pretty like musical theater. That's kind of a personal side thing, but that's kind of how my wife and I met through choir at Carthage.
Oh wow.
Yep. So that's a side passion. And then I do real estate. We own Welcome Home Real Estate Group. I started it 2007. I've had my license just over 20 years, and been doing this. Started actually like investing in real estate, and then got my license, and then opened up a brokerage, and just kind of organically grew. Love Kenosha. Been born and raised here my whole life.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good. So.
I love meeting people, selling real estate. So this is new for me.
Of course.
When you reached out, and I'm like, let's do it.
Yes, sir. So can you just tell us a little bit about what got you into real estate and how that came about?
Yeah, I've always kind of had an interest in real estate growing up. My dad, super handy. We had the coolest home. We had this really small home growing up, but he put a slide in our bedroom window out to like the porch.
No,
really
like a slide that you slide down.
Yeah, slide. We would slide out of our bedroom window into the porch, and it was super creative. So
what?
My dad was, and he got like a merry-go-round in the backyard. He put a motor on it. That's probably illegal now, but we had like just so much fun as a kid seeing him do different things to the house. I was like, this is so creative. Then I've always been kind of like thinking financial, like how do you try to build wealth over time? And real estate was always coming up. I had read a couple really good books, and a friend of mine, right when I graduated, he convinced me, you know what, like you should buy a duplex. That's the way, like I wasn't married at the time, I was single. He said, why don't you buy a duplex? And I was living with so I did. He was actually my realtor. I bought a duplex. I was living with my brother. We were renting to friends. After a year, I paid like nothing to live, and I was making a little bit of money, and it's kind of like a light bulb went off, and I was like, this is a great idea. And that's kind of how it started, is just kind of owning and investing in the same boat to start.
Got it.
And go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead. Continue on.
No, I was saying then I started, after buying a couple more places, I really kind of got the bug, and I was like, I really enjoy this. I want to help other people. I got my license, and then it kind of grew from there, where we got my broker's license. We decided to open up our own shop and then form a team, and that's Welcome Home Real Estate Group today. And just now we're more traditional real estate, helping instead of, it used to be more investing focused. I mean, I still work with investors, but I would say we're much more first-time home buyer. If you're a retiree, you're looking to upgrade. That's mainly what we do today.
Of course. Now, are you licensed in only Wisconsin, or are you one that has a chance to be in Illinois as well?
Yep, both Wisconsin and Illinois. So just because we're so close to the border, all the time we get people mostly moving from Illinois to Wisconsin. Every once in a while, people go the other way, but most people want to live in Wisconsin, and then we sell their place in Illinois. or just you never know. Like we're so close to the border. Sometimes people find their dream home right over the border, or vice versa. Like you don't know.
Okay,
So,
of course.
yeah.
Now, can you just tell us some things? What should a first-time homeowner, home purchaser expect once meeting you?
Once meeting me, that's a good question. So I try to get an understanding of, like, let's say in your guys' example, what you're looking for, what your budget might be, kind of your hopes and dreams of what you want in a house, location, features, like bedroom sizes. Try to get a really good feel of what you're looking for. And then depending on if you met with like a finance person or not, I could try to help you with that route to kind of get you called pre-qualified, pre-approved, just to make sure we know how much you could afford and all that.
Of course.
And then really I try to set you up on a search like right away where we're like, okay, let's identify the criteria you like and set it up. And then I'm sending you emails. It's almost automatic every day when new listings come out. So that way you get an email and I get an email, we can see it. And I'm looking every day as well, like what's out, talking to other realtors, trying to keep you in mind of, or if I just like searching myself and then trying to fight for you on your behalf, essentially.
Of course. Now, when it comes to Kenosha, I've been seeing a bunch of articles where it says that Kenosha is like the end market right now. Kenosha is the hot market. Why would you say Kenosha has been such a popular place as of lately?
Yeah, I mean, I'm biased. I love Kenosha, obviously, and I knew we were doing well just from being in the market and seeing it the last few years. And then that article came out from Realtor.com. Actually, just a couple weeks ago, named Kenosha the #1 hottest market in the country, which was crazy to see. I mean, I've been feeling it. Like, it's still been really strong. You read about other areas of the country that maybe are slowing, but so I would say the reason is location-wise, we're right between Milwaukee and Chicago, the hub, or these two big hubs. You're like kind of suburbia, right in the middle. Proximity to the lake. The lakefront is beautiful. So we have more affordability than those. And then I would just say like all the development now happening. We had Uline, Amazon, now Microsoft's looking to build here. There's just been a lot of growth, new subdivisions, stable government here. I feel like it's just a really good place to raise your good schools, raise your kids, and people put down roots and you have access to so much stuff around here.
Of course. Side question has nothing to do with buying a home, but do you think the casino will ever be implemented into the area as well too?
That's a good question. I don't know for sure. I know it's been a hot topic for a long time. I kind of feel like it might happen eventually. I don't know though for sure. I just feel like there's so much pressure from just years building that maybe at some point they would do it, But I don't know. That's a good question though.
Of course. Now, this question here that we have for you, young man, this is a question that's all over YouTube, all over Facebook, all over social medias. Renting versus owning. Why rent? Why own? Which one is better? Are they equal? Give us your thoughts on that, sir.
I would say I'm biased towards owning. I think there's when you can own, it gives you control. It gives you the opportunity to create equity, wealth. I mean, they say home ownership it's kind of cliche, but is the American dream, which I think is cool. That not only can you put, buy the home with the white picket fence or whatever you want to do and upgrade it and create wealth. It allows you, well, I was going to say, it does allow you to create some equity wealth over time. Like a lot of people's net worth is tied up in their home. So, however, though, I would say like if you're going to only live in a place for a year or maybe 2 years and it's not going to be a long-term thing, I would maybe look at renting in that case. If you need to be more, I would say transient or not super, you're not going to be there for a long time because there is costs, when you sell and buy, there's some costs associated. So if you're not going to be in there, usually I tell people 2 years or at least a year and a half, I would then rent. But even in this market though, even a year and a half, just for the way that we've seen appreciation and all this stuff happening, it still might be beneficial, honestly, to own. And then if you could keep it as a rental, that might be a long-term thing down the road. But I'm a huge proponent of owning, especially with the rates coming down now. The cost is getting easier to afford versus renting. So
Of course.
Yep.
Now, you said that you started off when it comes to duplexes, correct?
Yep.
Can you just tell us a little bit about all the cool things and like how it helps you out to have a duplex and how that helps you cost-wise, I would say?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times here, duplexes aren't that much more than a normal home. And if you're comfortable with having another family or whoever you're going to rent to live close to you, a lot of people, it's a great way to start where a lot of them here are up and down. You can find side by sides a little more rare, but if you're comfortable living and then renting, it really makes it way more affordable. Like your payment might be just a little bit more than a normal home, but then you'd get, let's say, $1,200 rent, $1,500 rent, or $900, depending on how big the apartment is or what it is. You got that income coming in that helps offset. So it's a great way to start. And if you ever want to, let's say you want rental property down the road, it's a great way to start, because then let's say you start there, and after a couple of years, now you've got some equity and you've got more income. Now you want to buy maybe more your dream home, and you keep it as a rental. Now you've got $2,500, $3,000 rent coming in, and now you've got your primary home that's maybe more what you initially wanted, if you're willing to wait a little bit.
Of course.
So
now, have you ever seen it where someone owned property and they didn't really, I would say, have to work at a job necessarily? They were able to take care of things and save off of owning properties as well?
Yeah, sorry.
No worries.
I've worked with a few people that that's all that they do is own real estate. And I know like a couple of big investors in town that have a lot, but that's like a huge conglomerate business. I'm not saying that, but you could definitely have a handful, or maybe let's say 20-ish, 15, maybe a little bit more, depending on what your lifestyle is, your end goal. But let's say once you pay all that off, I mean, that could be a big chunk. I know some people in that boat that's all that they do, and they quote unquote retired, or maybe they're doing other things too, but they could live off of that and make a pretty good living just doing that.
Of course.
Yeah.
What would be your best piece of advice for the people out there that are looking for homes when it comes to the Kenosha area?
Just to live, not for okay.
Just to live.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kenosha's hard to beat just because of like the way that we're getting national attention now with the affordability and the area. I would look for the neighborhood that you want to be in, or like location. And let's say you have a budget in mind, say $300,000 or $250,000, $350,000. Make a list of everything that you want in a home, and then let's say, just because it is competitive, you may not get every single thing on your list, but maybe like, what could we compromise if we find it? And then I would say, well, once you're ready and you're ready to go, like make the jump. And I think over a couple of years, you really see the benefit. Like I should bring up my friend. We had helped her buy a condo just like a couple of years ago. She was going through a rough situation. We helped her kind of get out of where she was into a condo, and now after a couple of years, like she just texted me a few days ago saying they had it reappraised and it's up like $80,000. I mean, I'm not saying this is always the case, but she was just like almost in tears, like shocked, like this is amazing. And that's kind of like the power of owning that. Now she could tap into that with a home equity, or she's going to get married now and have kind of, maybe, I don't know if she's going to keep it or not, but that. It's like a nest egg now where you could do something bigger.
Of course. Of course.
So
now, without scaring people off, what would you say are some things that could possibly hinder someone when it comes to owning different properties, and just like some hassles and things that come with that?
Yeah, I mean, it is a different mindset when you own versus rent, because when you own, like, you are responsible for everything. There's no landlord or property manager to call. So, I mean, you have to know, like, okay, you got to change the furnace filter. You got to keep upkeep just in general with, like, okay, you got the roof after so many years. You got the furnace. You got... so just knowing, like, you're going to have to do work, and if you're okay with that, and yard work and all that. But I think a lot of people enjoy that and, like, want to make it their own and put their... Like, a lot of people... And I get joy out of seeing, like, I love when people buy, like, a beat-up house and then, like, come back a year later, 2 years later. I love seeing what people have done with the home. And you can create a lot of equity that way, too. But so you said pitfalls, though. So I would say, though, not to stretch too much. Like, you obviously want to, get into the home and there's benefits, but let's say you're really on the edge of being able to afford it and you're stretching with everything, and just not to stretch too far where it's like it's not going to be affordable. I don't want to, like, advise people to get uncomfortable, like, only if you feel comfortable.
Of course.
Of course. I don't want to push somebody and then they can't afford it. So that would not be good.
Of course,
yeah.
Of course. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it here first on Line for Line Podcast. I'm your host with the most, Devon Booker. That has been Mr. Aaron Kohlmeier. Aaron, we appreciate you having some time for us, sir.
Thank you.
You calling or you listening, tune in every week. Line for line. Oh yeah, I'm going line for line.